Greetings and salutations, all. My name is Joe Spears, joined alongside by Kevin Bergsmith. This is the Week 5 edition of the Deep Dive. Kevin, how are you? How was your weekend? You got 2 wins this weekend. You're both your teams won. Congratulations.
I did. Saturday was a good day. It was a very good day and a fun night as well.
Yeah, it was a good day for me. We stopped playing MAC teams, even though we sucked against them too. But it is what it is. Got Louisville coming up. Eric Hazard's already giving me hell. It's going to be a fun week. You, my friend, were at FRA Northwest on Friday in a game that was just not close. FRA is just kind of they're another level. Northwest is trying to figure things up there in Clarksville. They're 1-3 on the season now. FRA is demolished every single team they've played so far up to this point. For what it was, give me some of your thoughts on that game.
The game overall, FRA took advantage of every opportunity that Northwest gave them. First series was a 3-and-out by Northwest, punted the ball, and FRA ran it back to the house. Next series, I think it was the first play, it was a scoop and score. Next series was a 3-and-out, took a safety on the punt, and then right before the end of the first quarter, when FRA actually had to do a little bit on offense, instead of just running it out, let's go to the second quarter, they decided to run a hook and ladder for about a 70-yard touchdown, just to make sure like we're putting this game away. So FRA took care of business. It was impressive.
Yeah, the Panthers haven't been tested at all this year. Their closest game was a 27-7 win over Franklin, which is really impressive because Franklin's pretty good this year. They've turned the corner, and I actually picked against FRA in that game because I'm a fool. And, it is what it is. But the Panthers are taking care of business. They got a big one this Friday against East Nashville. At East Nashville, I'll be at that one. Really, really looking forward to seeing them in person. I love that staff over there. Justin Geisinger is a great coach. They all the people over there. I love interacting with them. They're a fun school to interact with. So, you were there to watch what'll be the youngest player on our list this year. This year overall, probably, I would think. Right? I can't think of too many other sophomores we'll cover.
This will be the only sophomore this year.
Yeah, Omarii Sanders. He's a stud, 6'4", 195 pounds. He's ranked as the number 1 overall player in Tennessee. I believe I was looking at his Twitter a little bit ago. I believe he picked up a offer from Georgia.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks ago on 9/11. Yeah, so picked up an offer from Georgia. Big, rangy kid. He didn't have to do a whole lot. Don't think he played in the second half of that game.
No.
But from what you saw out of him and what'd you see?
First thing I saw, he looks like a creative player. He's really long, just like a great frame. He's 6'4", so as a free safety, the first thing I'm thinking of is like Sean Taylor. But they play a traditional 3-4, have 4 defensive backs, but they would roll their safeties down. So they would go with a single high look. And when he rolled down, he would play on the edge like an outside linebacker. And that's where he was the most impressive. Looked like an absolute freak. The one play that he did make was against the run as an edge player. Big tackle for loss, very decisively. When he played back as a free safety, Northwest didn't really throw it over the middle or throw it deep, so couldn't really get a good feel for him in coverage, how he was. But he did play on special teams a lot. Core special teams player for them. He's their safety on kickoffs. He was their edge rusher on punt returns. They're using him all over the field. I thought he was the queen of the chessboard, especially in the next couple of years when he gets a little bit bigger, fills out a little bit more, probably grow another inch or two taller as well. He looks like an edge rusher, especially once he fills out a little bit, but he could play middle backer, wilt backer, free safety, strong safety, kind of all over the place. Those are the freaks, especially that's why he's ranked as a sophomore. But the potential for the things that he could do on the field are all over the place. So very impressive just seeing him in person.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him this week against East Nashville because I'm expecting them to have to do more. East Nashville's a really good team. This is a game where I think he'll have to play all 4 quarters. Not really the case with some of their games this year. Honestly, he may have only played all 4 quarters in the Franklin game. Like looking at their schedule, they've kind of just rolled. When you have a kid this big, this young, it just it kind of gets you excited, right? I mean, you've seen this. You've scouted guys that were freshmen, sophomore, and you could just see the potential. You see him more maybe as a linebacker at the next level, depending on how he fills out his frame.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was watching him on film prepping for this game, first thing I thought of was he looks like a Mike backer in a Tampa 2 defense. Type of guy that drops back, kind of middle of the field, but rangy enough to kind of patrol the middle of the field. He's not that he's too big, but he's about 4.5 inches taller than a prototypical safety, and he's only a sophomore in high school, so he's only going to get bigger. And usually with those guys, when they put on the weight, want to get those guys closer to the line of scrimmage to be involved a little bit more. But yeah, I think he could play a middle backer in a Tampa 2. I think he could play a will backer in a Tampa 2. I think he could be an edge rusher in a 4-3 or a 3-4. He could play safety right now. He's all over the place. With these guys, especially this young freshmen, sophomores, the size is what we're looking for first. So the identification of, okay, this guy, A, he's got the size, B, can he play? And he definitely can play, but once he kind of gets the football IQ raised a little bit more and you can put him all over the defense, he knows what the coaches are thinking. He knows what the offense is thinking. That's where he'll really shine, and we can see the progression from sophomore to junior to senior year.
I know with kids this young, when they're picking up offers, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, but he is ranked as the number 1 player for the 2027 class. Just kind of going through his list of offers. I mean, UC, and this is all, most of these came last year: UCF, Michigan, Louisville, Colorado, Vanderbilt. That would be a big get for the local guys. Tennessee. I mean, that would be huge with the way Tennessee's defense is looking. Mississippi State, they're trying. Duke, Miami's on the rise up, and then arguably the biggest one came a couple weeks ago in Georgia. So I mean, this kid, the sky's the limit for him. I know I was talking before, we were talking with Chris before we started shooting this. On last year's team he played, it's hard to, because that team was so senior heavy, led by Ty Clark, who ends up at Wake Forest, and Bobby Council. You really think of those two guys. It seems like this team could be kind of maybe his to lead going forward. So it's exciting future. FRA, Justin Geisinger is building a monster there. And they're going to need him. Just kind of looking at what they have ahead, they've played the easy part of their schedule. They got East Nashville this week. They got CPA at the end of the season. They got a really good BGA team that's coming up. Kind of would like to see, I don't know how feasible it is, but a one-on-one matchup between him and Owen Cabell at CPA that'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good competition coming up. Opportunities to have some good film, just to match up against good offenses, putting up points, test them in the secondary a little bit.
I think we talked about this on the last episode. FRA is one of my favorite places to cover a football game. It's top 2 just because of the view. I think it's a beautiful view. Just what were your thoughts of, I mean, obviously the game wasn't close, but it was homecoming week for the Panthers, I believe. What were your overall thoughts of the field and what you saw out there?
Field was beautiful. The view is amazing. You can see, feels like not only all of Nashville, but all of the South. It's just nothing but green hills. You can just see all of nature. It's just like looking at the whole South. It's a great view, especially with the sunset. Walking up, I've been to FRA a few times in the past, but this was definitely the most packed I've ever seen it walking up. Most packed I've ever felt it in the stadium. Just kind of the vibe was not bursting at the seams, but you can look around and just tell, like, all right, they're excited to be here. It was a good atmosphere. Good, happy to be there. It was. I can see why you guys like it so much.
Yeah, I just wish the sidelines weren't as narrow as they are. I understand why they are, but as a reporter, I hate it. That's my only complaint. Kevin, we are on to week 6. It's crazy to think. We only talked about one player this episode, kind of waffling a little bit here, but why not? We're in week 6. Through 6 weeks of the season, you've seen some really good players, some really good teams. Maybe what are some of your biggest takeaways from the season so far that you've seen?
Ooh. First thing I think of right now is McIntyre's arm. That's probably like the most freak thing I've seen. Um, Getting rained on in East Robertson, and then just the way that the fans there felt about not only Zach but Isaiah and the entire Groves family. Like they're very proud to be associated with the Groves name and all those kids. So I remember that as well. And the upset was Germantown at Riverdale. So that was nice to see that Middle Tennessee team came to play, stood their ground against a pretty highly ranked and high thought of Memphis squad. Those would be the top three, I think, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, you've seen some good ball this year. I'll give you two guys to kind of keep on your radar, and they're both underclassmen. So Andre Adams at Antioch. Antioch, if you haven't seen him yet, he's a freak. He's sophomore, doesn't play like it. Chris will be there on Friday for their game against Stewart's Creek. And a guy kind of on the rise, and this may be a little bit of a homer pick because, I've gotten to really like this school doing this project. Cannon Burrows at Green Hill. Really developing into something that I think his senior year, or even this year, he's going to start getting looks. He's got a really big arm. He's worked on his consistency a lot. He's about 6'3", or about almost 200 pounds. But the thing with him is he's running the ball really well. He had 190 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns last week. So this is a kid that played running back as a little kid. He's gotten older. And another name, Justin Hopkins over at Ensworth. You're going to go see Ensworth here in a couple of weeks, I believe, right?
I saw him. I remember looking at him last year. He's on the rise. I like that. I like him a lot.
He's a dude. I was at Ensworth on Friday. He had a huge open field tackle, just lit up the running back. He had a kickoff return that put Ensworth up, and then he had the interception at the end. I mean, this kid looks like the real deal. So I know Missouri and Tennessee are after him quite hard. Ethan Utley over there is after him quite hard. So he's got his teammate in his ear. So,
it's kind of weird. Ensworth doesn't normally put out a lot of defensive backs. Oh wait, they do. They put out FBS defensive backs every year. It's a factory.
It's kind of weird how that happens. They're pretty good. They're pretty good at that whole thing. Kevin, where are you going to be at on Friday?
I'm going to be at Rockvale and Oakland in Murfreesboro. Going to be seeing a top prospect for Rockvale and a top program with a few prospects at Oakland as well.
Yeah, you're going to see a very angry Oakland team. In fact, they escaped with a win against Blackman. DeJuan Morris kind of hinting at a return. I don't think he played last week, but I mean, he could be back this week. It'll be interesting. Jalen Morgan, he's played well. The Rockets have not, so you could be in for another big blowout. But I think you'll get to see the guys you want to see here because Jalen Morgan is the real deal. I will say that much about him. He is a stud, and Oakland just kind of has guys everywhere. So
that's good news. Morris was probably my favorite guy that I saw last year. So very excited to see him.
Yeah, ankle injury, believe on the first drive or one of the first drives of the season. Nothing too major, just maybe a high ankle sprain. So hoping he comes back because that backfield, Craig Tutt, I'm sure you're going to really enjoy watching him. And TT Hill, they got guys everywhere. That backfield it's deadly. Yeah. So that'll be a fun one. I'm looking forward to talking about this next week, talking about all those guys. We'll have plenty of guys to talk about next week. And for the rest of us, I'll be at FRA East Nashville. Always love going to the east side. Chris will be at Stewart's Creek, Antioch. We got guys everywhere. Isaac will be at Watertown, Lebanon. Cam will be at he'll be at Shackle Island for Hendersonville Beach. So it seems like we got everything. I mean, you're in Murfreesboro, so we almost have everything covered. So Kevin, good talking to you. It's nice to talk to you after a winning weekend for you. I'm glad the Noles got on the board finally.
Finally.
Yeah. And, it's hopefully next week when we talk, I'm not too upset following the Notre Dame loss to Louisville. So Until next week, I'm Joe Spears. He's Kevin Bergsmith, and we'll see you ahead of week 7.
Yes.